Welcome to the Valley Up Podcast. Today we're sitting down with head football coach Travis Bush from the Vaqueros at UTRGV, a proud Texan with deep Valley roots. Coach Bush is building the Vaqueros program from scratch with a resume that packs a punch. A former Texas State wide receiver mentored by his legendary father, Bruce Bush, Travis is bringing grit, vision, and Valley pride to the field as he gears up for 2025. Buckle up, this is one conversation you don't want to miss.
The Valley Up Podcast is sponsored by...
Harness the strength of a warrior and the wisdom of a sensei in your fight for justice. Step into the Justice Dojo, where every legal challenge is met with the focus and precision of a black belt sensei.
Ready? Fight!
Justice with honor. Contact Daniel San Gonzalez today.
My name is April, and recently I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and I was referred here by my doctor. I've been very pleased with the experience that I've had here at Brush Creek. My daughter was with me in the accident, so I was very motivated to get better, get back on my feet. I was definitely 100% ready to come back each and every single time. The first week I was kind of scared to come, but little by little they encouraged me to keep coming. Each week I saw progress. If you have been hurt in a car accident, I would definitely recommend Brush Creek. Brush Creek alleviated my pain. They increased my mobility and brought me back to my everyday activities of daily living.
At Brush Creek Injury and Accident, we specialize in helping you recover after an accident. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, or any other injury, our expert team is here to provide the care you need. Because your recovery is our priority.
We're back at the Valley Up Podcast, brought to you by attorney Daniel Gonzalez. I'm your host, Isaac Serna, and we've got a very special guest. We have our head coach for the UTRGV Vaqueros, Coach Travis Bush. Travis, pleasure to have you here.
Yes,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's pretty exciting, everything that's going on. You know, we've got a brand new football program coming out. August 30th is the big date. It's the first game in the school's program. How excited are you guys right now?
Sometimes we got to remind ourselves to be excited. We're so busy. There's so many things, so many moving parts right now, and so busy with building this team. From the inside, we're building facilities, still trying to finalize a lot of things. So a lot of different hats on a daily basis. But yeah, the days are getting closer. You can feel the excitement. As our team grows, you can feel the excitement around the area and the Rio Grande Valley. So it's coming. We've got a lot of work to do, but it's creeping up, and it's going to be fun.
You've got a lot of family ties down here in the Rio Grande Valley. What was it like, growing up as the son of Bruce Bush?
It was neat. It was a neat journey. Really probably didn't truly understand that until we left here and went to Alice, and really more in my older elementary days. But being a part of that, and I think the places he's been, and of course the style of teams he built in with his coaches, but PSJ in the 80s, and then going to Alice in the 80s, and just that toughness mentality, the work ethic, the commitment, the buy-in from the communities, and then of course going to Gregory Portland, which is where I played, was the same way. Just your old-fashioned, true Friday night light atmosphere in those towns, and that is what sparked my passion for the game of football and coaching, was being around that at the young age, and then probably getting more in the older years, and seeing his former players that would come back to him and tell him how much he impacted their life with what they learned through their programs, the kind of characteristics that were instilled in them through football is really kind of what, again, made me want to pursue that career and be able to have a positive impact on people.
So you had mentioned earlier that you pretty much knew that the coaching career was something that you were going to go into full force.
Yeah, I really didn't, and he always said, "Don't be a coach. To go, go get a real job, make some money, do stuff." So I went to college not really planning, not knowing, but it was a couple years in college when I realized, you know what, and that's when I kind of started seeing some of his former players come back. And of course, he had took the San Marcos job there, and I was around him again, and just the times, the things we shared, the characteristics that were instilled in me through growing up around those teams and going through his program is, again, that's when I really decided, hey, I really can't see myself doing anything else. I can't be in an office. I need to be with people. I love the game of football. I got a passion for kids and a passion for coaching, and that was kind of the time that we made the decision. And then the opportunity to work with him for the first job out of college there at San Marcos High, it just kind of set the pace.
Your dad is known as one of the godfathers of the slot T offense. And I also know that, like, as a coach, when you work for different people, you're going to be picking up all kinds of different philosophies and trying to see if you can kind of mold that into what you want. What's kind of, like I said, you've been around that system pretty much your whole life. What kind of other systems have you picked up, or what do you feel is more of your style?
Yeah, and that's really where our offense is. That's really what's happened over the years. It's been a melting pot. I've been blessed, again, to be around him and his staff and that offense. And of course, that's in my blood. I could do the slot T quarterback steps before I learned to walk when I was a little child. But and running the football, imposing your will, everything that comes with and being with misdirection and deception and finding ways to match up when you do have smaller size, when you're not necessarily the biggest team, that would always, being creative within that system to attack defenses. So that's kind of the foundation that's in the blood. And then of course the opportunities, spent time at TCU, great coaches there. Learned a lot about defense there with Gary Patterson and David Bailiff, and those guys had some good quarterback coach, Dick Winder, one of the old-fashioned quarterback coaches, but learned a lot again in that system. Back then we were power I. That's your true traditional two-back power I, lead option offense that you saw in the 90s there in college, and then came to Texas State as a wide receiver coach and got to work under Tom Herman. Tom Herman was our offensive coordinator. Really learned a lot about the pass game from him. We had a really good quarterback that year in 2005, and we went to the semifinals at Texas State. Same year, University of Texas had Vince Young. And so we spent a lot of time with that staff. In fact, Greg Davis was the OC there, which was on his staff at Port Neches Grove in 1975. So there were some connections there, but really that was in the zone read area now and gotten into zone read. And then so I had the opportunity to take over first time as a coordinator there at Texas State in 2007. So it's kind of a collection of that, of what I had learned so far. And then like everything else in life, you think you have a plan until you get kicked in the teeth, and then you learn things the hard way. And the biggest lesson learned there was, first coordinate's going to be about, the system, and we're going to run these plays, and we're going to be this and this. And then you look up, and we had a 6'6" quarterback who had pitched in the minor leagues with a rocket arm, and I had him under center running lead option. What kind of coach is that? So
right.
then you learn, and then next 2 years we started spreading out, evolving into some stuff to really cater to his talent, and then we win conference the next 2 years, and he we set 14 school records, and so that was kind of the first time, again, the hard lesson of, hey, you know what, it's not about plays in the off system, it's about your players, about your personnel. So that kind of sparked a new mentality of building your offense around your players. Went to UTSA, of course, starting from scratch, and back then didn't have transfer portal, so it's like opening in high school. We had a practice year like we did here. We kick off in 2011 with just redshirt freshmen and freshmen. Going into that, we weren't going to match up well with anybody we played. So we got into, we were reading option, we were reading power read, we were running triple option, we were trying to block as few people as we could.
Right.
So that sparked a whole new dimension of being able to basically run your triple option stuff, wishbone stuff out of the gun. And that was about the time your up-tempo air raid offenses were getting hot. So I was the plan had, if we'd have stayed at UTSA, was to kind of look into the spread up-tempo stuff. But then I got a call to to go to Houston as a position coach at that time, following Cliff Kingsbury and those guys. So best way to learn something is jump in and do it. So I took that job to get inside the air raid and to truly learn that, and then ended up taking over as a coordinator there as well. And then from there went to spent the year with the Bills in Buffalo, and that was a totally different.
That was around 2015.
2015, and that was the biggest thing. There was the just different level of detailed precision and organization, and understanding more details by position and how things can change week to week and really tailor fit not only to your personnel but the personnel you're going against, because who you're playing, and understanding some things about how to make adjustments based on personnel. So that was such a neat experience. And then from there was a head high school coach for 7 years and wanted to coach my boys. And like I played for him. So going back offensively now you look at that melting pot, and in that time in Buffalo too, you're always planning for the future. So it was putting together, basically rebuilt an entire offense with that. The mindset was to be multiple, build in rules where you could be spread up tempo, four wide. You can be power I. You can be whatever your personnel is going to allow you to be, and still have the same mentality, the same system, the same concept.
Yes.
So that's where that started, and then kind of letting that evolve. Even at the high school level, we ran that same system. So then coming here now, we've rebuilt it again, but that's kind of where we're at offensively now. Is very multiple, with the ability to anything you see on Saturday and Sunday right now, we have the ability to do. And but it's going to boil down to who's our starting quarterback,
right?
What are we good at up front? What do we have tight ends, or our wide receivers the best guys? So that's kind of, we're still in that unknown phase of what we're going to be, but being able to tailor it around our personnel is going to be the biggest key. But anything you see from Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, all those teams, we have that built into our system. But we'll figure out what we're going to be over the next 6 to 7 months here.
The Valley Up podcast is sponsored by
Harness the strength of a warrior and the wisdom of a sensei in your fight for justice. Step into the Justice Dojo, where every legal challenge is met with the focus and precision of a black belt sensei.
Ready? Fight!
Justice with honor. Contact Daniel San Gonzalez today.
My name is April, and recently I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and I was referred here by my doctor. I've been very pleased with the experience that I've had here at Brush Creek. My daughter was with me in the accident, so I was very motivated to get better, get back on my feet. I was definitely 100% ready to come back each and every single time. The first week I was kind of scared to come, but little by little they encouraged me to keep coming. Each week I saw progress. If you have been hurt in a car accident, I would definitely recommend Brush Creek. Brush Creek alleviated my pain. They increased my mobility and brought me back to my everyday activities of daily living.
At Brush Creek Injury and Accident, we specialize in helping you recover after an accident. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, or any other injury, our expert team is here to provide the care you need. Because your recovery is our priority.
Taking a look at your coaching career, what's very impressive is that you either revived a program that was once a winning program that maybe lost its way, or you either built it, which is very impressive. You were part of Larry Coker's crew that first established UTSA, and now that you're doing the same thing here at UTRGV, how much did you learn from that time as far as what worked and what didn't work that you're able to bring down here?
The first time the Chase called, and I remember he kind of mentioned this deal, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again. It was so hard. It was a hard time because we started that program. We didn't have any facilities. There was nothing. There was no plan for facilities. There was a plan, but it was way down the road. And just your everyday life was so hard, and felt bad for the guys. We had to go to a high school stadium 4 miles down the road to practice. We were at their mercy. So if Brandeis needed to practice because of rain, then we got canceled. Yeah. And every day's a road trip. They had to pack up their lockers. We had to pack up our bags. We had no locker room. And little facilities, portable facility on campus. It took them, their facility now that they have, it took them 10 years to get that from their existence, which is what we'll walk into this summer.
Okay.
So once we started talking and looking at the plan, then I was intrigued because the plan was in place.
Right.
And that was some of the things. And again, they did their research back at how other programs have done and what they could do better. But the ability to have our own practice facility right off the bat, to have our own big, performance center, which we'll move into this summer right off the bat, our own stadium right off the bat, that's ours. So there's some things that were in place with that, with the recruiting plan, with the budget and everything moving forward that made this a lot better runway to start on, I felt, moving in. But then that all goes back to, again, Chase and Dr. Bailey and their plan. One thing we didn't realize that first year we brought that class in at UTSA for the practice year like we did last year, in which we didn't find out until they got on campus, was there's no upperclassmen. Your freshmen come in and they follow the upperclassmen. When these freshmen come in, they're just staring at us. We had to be the upperclassmen. So knowing that, we structured some things here this time with understanding that, hey, we've got to be the leaders of this group this first year. We've got to set the tone. We've got to be the ones to it's a lot more on us, but we've got to be that senior leadership to get them started and show them the right way to do it. So that was something we had a plan for coming in.
What's it been like for you coming back to the Rio Grande Valley now that you've been, now that basically you're home again?
Yeah, it's been good. We talked, my wife being from here, and family had, father retired down here, so kind of sisters down here, everyone's kind of down here. We always talked about retiring down here. I didn't think I'd have to come down here and work, so it's, we always wanted to retire, but no, it's been a destination for us. I met my wife on South Padre Island. We got married here in Mission. She's from McAllen. Again, family from Mercedes, got cousins, aunts, uncles down here that we grew up with. So it's cool. It's cool to be back and be around the valley. I've always had always loved this area and love the people, and getting into coaching. I always had a soft spot in my heart for South Texas guys.
How long had you been gone?
I haven't lived here since '82, but we've been here back and forth, always visiting family. We this is where we'd come with for every holiday and things and throughout the year. But but you talk about recruiting and really, taking pride in taking this job and always having a soft spot for South Texas kids and especially Valley guys. Everyone. They always kind of have that chip on the shoulder, and even once I was recruiting, I would talk to our coach and they're like, we're not going down there. They don't have players down there. And so I would come down here recruiting, sometimes on my own dime, just to try to find guys. And sometimes for the guys down here, just to see a college coach walk in and give you that motivation some days that can just help build some motivation. So, same thing with South Texas guys. I remember we recruited Meshach Rivas out of Westaco when I was at Texas State, and coach said he'd never play. He was 5'5", 142, but the fastest dude I've ever seen. And he started for us as a true freshman for 2 years and was the fastest guy at that level. It goes back to that toughness piece, and sometimes that goes a long way. And so definitely always want to try to find the best guys down here if they could fit our program. We want South Texas guys, we want Valley guys. So always pulling for. I've always pulled for the Valley.
You mentioned you wanted to be able to coach your sons. Is that something you're going to be able to get to do now?
Yeah. In fact, was coaching coach our older one, Trey, he's actually in school with us right now. He's assistant equipment manager for us on the team, so we work with him. And then our youngest, Ty, he was a sophomore at New Braunfels Canyon when this opportunity came up. Okay. And matter of fact, when it came up, I sat him down and asked him. I said, look, here's the deal. Here's the situation. I said I'd commit to being a high school coach till you graduate. So if you want me to coach you till you graduate, I will I'll tell the AD I don't want to be interested right now. I know him. I don't want to waste his time. And he actually took about 24 hours, and he came back. He said, "Nah, go for it. See what you can do." And he goes, "Maybe I could play for you there one day."
There you go.
So ended up working out and getting this job, and so he ended up finishing up. He wanted to stay up there with his friends, and so he finished up 2 years. Just graduated up there from Bernie High School, and we actually signed him on the team as a punter. So worked out, and I texted. In fact, we had a signing day, and congratulations. And we texted. I said, "Hey, just thank you for not sucking." I said, "Thank you for busting your tail to be good enough." And he played linebacker, was a good linebacker for him, and punter. But for us, probably undersized at linebacker, but can definitely be a role player as a punter for us. So excited to get him down here, and again we'll have him on staff, both sons there on the team, and so it'll be good to be around family every day again.
Absolutely. When it comes to the transfer portal, you guys actually picked up a pretty good one. You guys got Eddie Lee Marburger, a Valley standout here from Sharyland Pioneer. He actually went to UTSA for a while there, and now he's coming back to UTRGV. What kind of expectations are there? I mean, we know he's in his final year of eligibility. What kind of expectations are there for him coming back?
A lot, really. And then, going back to the whole piece, and one question we keep getting, how are you going to be? How are you going to be? What's the season going to look like? And the answer is, I don't know. We don't know. We're still building we don't even know what our final roster is going to be until we report to camp on July 31st. But like I just mentioned at UTSA, we played the first game with redshirt freshmen and true freshmen. We didn't have the transfer portal back then.
Right.
So our goal right now, between now and training camp, is balancing that roster with seniors and juniors. So being able to utilize that portal could be an advantage for us if we can get the right guys in here. And Eddie's one of those. So
right.
To have a veteran quarterback come in here, especially from the Valley. I mean, how great would it be for the starting quarterback, the first game in history, to be from the Valley? But for him, his experience. He went to UTSA, and things just didn't work out for whatever reasons, and they kept taking portal quarterbacks, but it's setting itself up to be a great ending to his career. To come down here could be a great beginning for us. But we're excited. We're excited about him. Again, you're looking at a guy that started against University of Tennessee last year.
Right.
He has actual game experience, which no other quarterback on our roster has right now. So that piece. Especially at quarterback, there's no substitute for game experience. And like anything else in life, you learn by making mistakes, but you got to get in games. You got to make those mistakes to get better. So we're excited. We're going. Looks great in off season. The maturity piece. He's already such a good leader, and he's picking up the offense really good. In fact, we started some. They're already doing their OTAs and stuff past couple of weeks, so he looks good. And there's he can throw it a mile.
Yeah.
So it goes back to tailor fitting your personnel. Now your shot game and 3-level vertical game becomes a little different when you got a quarterback that can do that. You can stretch the field vertically more. So, but we're excited. We start spring ball March 10th. We get 15 practices, so we're really excited to see what he's going to do live.
And on the flip side, on your coaching staff, you have another Valley standout in Gunnar Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
What's he been able to provide?
Just that toughness piece. That's the biggest thing. Culture piece we're building right now is toughness, and tough people. Tough dudes win football games. Tough people win in life. That mental toughness of attacking hard things and not quitting when things get hard, not making excuses, finding solutions. Learning to screw up, to fail and learn from it and fail forward. So just that toughness. He has an amazing story of his path from McAllen High School to ending up playing a national championship at TCU as a 5'0" Valley kid, So it goes back to that piece of that toughness piece from Valley guys and them having that chip on the shoulder to prove themselves. And he's one that's done it, but adds great value. He's played in our offense, so again, he played in the same system there at TCU that we're running here. So he's such a good technician and coach, and has really helped our receivers a lot. But just his energy, his mentality, he loves the game. He's passionate about people. He's passionate about everything. So he'll be a big time coach one day.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have him. Hopefully it can be for a while, but he's going to move up the ranks pretty quick.
You also mentioned that your training camp starts around in July. August 30th is that big date that you guys are basically working towards, right? What's that speech going to be like when you're talking to the kids? Right before that kickoff.
Yeah, I don't know yet. The big thing too, like we talked, is yes, it's a game. You're going to play your tails off. You're going to make mistakes. Enjoy the moment. This is his historic moment. You come out of that tunnel, enjoy the moment. Look at that crowd. Leave it all on the field. But it's going to be a moment. No matter what happens, you're going to remember this day forever. The people are going to remember you forever. But it's going to be exciting. But there's no doubt. I mean, they're going to be ready. I look back to that game at that first year at UTSA. You've practiced for so long. You've looked forward to this first game for so long. And boy, that first game was like a just shot out of a cannon. We come out, we just get after their tail and win that first game. I think it was Northeast Oklahoma. But the hardest thing, which is another lesson we learned, which we've already started talking about as a staff, you for 2 years you're honed in on this first game, and it's so perfect. Well, the game's over. You got to come back and do it again in 6 days. Yeah. And we came back and had the worst days of practice I've ever been a part of. And we get beat by D3 McMurray. Comes down and beats us in the Alamo Dome. So there's some things working that we learned lessons from that as a staff. That game 1 to game 2, you got to move on and get ready again pretty quick. But game 1, it's going to be about the day. It's going to be about the event. It's going to be about representing the Valley. We've already got the idea. That stadium, you can see the stadium packed, and our captain, the first 3 captains walk out are gonna be number 9, 5, and 6. That's gonna be a historic picture right there. It's gonna be neat. But we're gonna make sure that we know they're gonna play their tails off. We know they're gonna be excited. But take a minute, enjoy the moment, and have fun. Easiest way to have fun is win the game too.
Oh, for sure. Winning cures everything, right? What do you see as far as you would consider being a successful first season, aside from what we see in the wins and loss column?
Some days that changes. Like I said, we're still how well can we balance our roster by training camp? We got 3 seniors on the team right now. Mm-hmm. Can we have 20 seniors? Can we have the right guys in the right spots? How are we going to match up with our conference? There's so many unknowns, but there's some days that you're like, you could win half the games, less than half the games, and it could be a successful season. We could put together a roster and go win a conference. You don't know the scenarios are unlimited. So I think a lot of that is going to come based when we find out who our roster is. Mm-hmm. But we understand too, it's going to be a process and making sure, it's almost like we've got to get in and get that first year done to see where we're at and now start setting the goals for the future. But I know everyone, and everyone talks about the process, and you get the head coach. It's we're with you. It's going to be tough early, and we get that. But you talk to the dudes in our locker room, mm-hmm. their mindset is how fast can we speed up this conference, speed up this process. Yeah. How fast can we relative in this conference? How fast can we be relative in this in the nation right now? And
some of them don't want to wait.
Yeah. So and those guys didn't come here to wait. They want to win now. So there's a mentality within our building that other people don't get. But it goes back to, again, it's you can relate that to that chip on the shoulder that the Valley guys have, right? You know what? We're a college team in the Valley. Nobody expects us to win. Everyone thinks we're not going to be good, and so we're building that chip on our shoulder too to see how fast we can shock some people. So we don't know. There's so many scenarios, but that's the mentality inside our building that people don't know about right now.
Yeah. That's great. I think that's fantastic. I mean, I think that is the direction you want to go. And I think right now you're surrounding yourself with a great staff. Not only your coaching staff, but your support staff. I think that's going to be, a great thing for you. But with that said, Coach, we're going to take you off of the hot seat. We thank you. We can't thank you enough for joining us here at the Valley Up Podcast.
Appreciate it.
We hope you can come back again, to visit us. But that's going to do it for us at the Valley Up Podcast. Once again, a huge thank you to Attorney Daniel Gonzalez for this opportunity. And another huge thank you to Travis Bush, head coach of the UTRGV Vaqueros, who's going to have a fantastic start. And we're excited for it to happen. So we'll see you guys again.
The Valley Up Podcast is sponsored by...
Harness the strength of a warrior and the wisdom of a sensei in your fight for justice. Step into the Justice Dojo, where every legal challenge is met with the focus and precision of a black belt sensei.
Ready? Fight!
Justice with honor contact Daniel San Gonzalez today.
My name is April, and recently I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and I was referred here by my doctor. I've been very pleased with the experience that I've had here at Brush Creek. My daughter was with me in the accident, so I was very motivated to get better, get back on my feet. I was definitely 100% ready to come back each and every single time. The first week I was kind of scared to come, but little by little they encouraged me to keep coming. Each week I saw progress. If you have been hurt in a car accident, I would definitely recommend Brush Creek. Brush Creek alleviated my pain. They increased my mobility and brought me back to my everyday activities of daily living.
At Brush Creek Injury and Accident, we specialize in helping you recover after an accident. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, or any other injury, our expert team is here to provide the care you need. Because your recovery is our priority,